Hello and welcome to the Album Man, and today I'm going to be doing a review, continuing my Guns N' Roses discography by doing a review of The Spaghetti Incident. So, I hope you watched my Use Your Illusion 2 review, which should have been up not that long before this one, to be honest. I've decided to do both of these on the same day, as The Spaghetti Incident was in fact my first ever review. And it's really dark and the sound quality is pretty poor, so I thought I'd do a remake of it as part of the GNR discography. So that's really what this is. It's effectively my number one, I can't think about it, video, 0.5. So, before we get into this album though, I'd like to talk about what happened after the release of Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, but before the release of The Spaghetti Incident. So they embarked on a 28-month-long tour, which is still the longest in history, and on July the 2nd, 1991, they played a gig at the Riverport Amphitheatre in Maryland Heights, Missouri, just outside St. Louis, and during a performance of the song Rocket Queen from Appetite for Destruction, Axl noticed there was a fan filming the show with a camera. Now he asked the venue's security to take away the camera, and after a few seconds decided that he was going to take it himself. So he jumped into the audience, he tackled the fan, and had a heated confrontation with him before attacking him. And yeah, so after this fan was poured out of the audience by members of the crew, Axl decided to say, "Well, thanks to the lame-ass security, I'm going home." He threw his microphone to the ground and stormed off stage, and the angry crowd began to riot, and dozens of people were injured, and even some were killed. And then Rose was wanted by the police for inciting a riot, but police were unable to arrest him until almost a year later, as the band quickly went overseas to continue their tour. Charges were filed against Rose, but a judge ruled that he did not directly incite the riot, apparently, but it seems to me like he pretty much did. But okay, in his defense, Rose stated that the Guns N' Roses security team had made four separate requests to the venue's security staff to remove the camera, all of which were ignored, and the other members of the band had reported being hit by bottles launched from the audience, while the security staff was refusing to enforce a drinking limit. And also the thank you section in the liner notes of this album says, "Fuck you, St. Louis." Yeah, nice little message. And then, on November the 7th, 1991, Izzy Stradlin, the rhythm guitarist, abruptly quit. After there was nearly a repeat of what happened in St. Louis in Germany. So, this tour did, cause quite a lot of incidents, and then there was the famous Guns N' Roses / Metallica double headlining stadium tour. And during a show in August 1992 at Montreal's Olympic Stadium, a pyrotechnics blast that James Hetfield suffered severe burns after stepping way too close to a pyrotechnics blast that wasn't meant to go off at that time. And he didn't realise it was going off, so he was burned and nearly killed, to be honest. And he was forced to cancel the rest of the show, but promised to return to the city for another performance. So after a long delay, during which the audience became increasingly restless, Guns N' Roses took the stage. However, and this is just so Guns N' Roses, the shortened time between sets did not allow for adequate tuning of stage monitors, resulting in the members of GNR not being able to hear themselves. And then Rose, in typical Axl fashion, claimed that his throat hurt, so couldn't perform anymore, and the band left the stage early. And again, a massive riot happened reminiscent of St. Louis. Cars were overturned, smashed, windows were smashed, stores were robbed and looted, and local authorities could barely keep it under control. It was a disaster. They had a lot of incidents on the tour, and Guns N' Roses are responsible for the death of too many people. But then, they decided to come out of this, their 5th studio album. And they decided, hey, wouldn't it be a good idea if we just did an album of covers and didn't write a single of our own songs? So this is an album of punk and glam covers. And originally, most of them were recorded for the Use Your Illusion, in the Use Your Illusion sessions, as Use Your Illusion was originally intended to span about 3 or 4 discs. Yeah, and of course this is the first album not to feature the wonderful whipping guitarist Izzy Stradlin, as I said before. Instead it features Gilby Clarke. Well, the thing is, Izzy is still there in sort of spirit because he did record the whipping guitar parts. It's just Gilby Clarke recorded the same stuff Izzy did, but over the top, and then they deleted Izzy's stuff because he left. But yeah, and apparently the album cover for this, the inspiration came from, it was a food fight that Axl and Adler had during the Appetite for Destruction years about spaghetti. Anyway, let's go through the track listing. Since I Don't Have You, New Woes, Down on the Farm, Human Being, War Power, Ain't It Fun, Buke McCain, Hair of the Dog, Attitude, Black Leather, You Can't Put Your Arms Around a Memory, I Don't Care About You, and then of course we have the interesting bonus track at the end, but we'll get to that in due course. So it starts off with Since I Don't Have You, and this is a wonderful reboot of an old track. Slash really drives that bluesy feeling with his magical opening riff to Axl's vocals, which are spot on, and they keep the original feel of the song but with a GNR flavour. It's a nice song. Now you get to New Woes and Down on the Farm, and these are very, very poor attempts by all members of the band, especially Duff McKagan, who manages to drain every bit of life and energy from New Woes, even though his vocals were so great in Ain't It Fun? So Fine even, sorry, So Fine, on Use Your Illusion 2. They were not on this album. And Axl makes Down on the Farm a boring, lifeless song, and together they destroy all the punk energy the originals had. Yeah, and after the hell of being on that awful farm, you get to Human Being, where Slash performs another great solo at the end with Axl on top form. It's actually a pretty decent punk rock track. I mean, it's not exactly a classic reboot. I mean, you know, none of these tracks are exactly London Calling or Anarchy in the UK. But yeah, it's actually okay. And then you get a duet with Duff and Axl on War Power, and that's just underwhelming in every way. There's no war power or energy given off by any of the members. And then Ain't It Fun, that's what I was getting confused. It has the wrong title, to be honest, as it's not fun at all. And the chorus sounds like it's being sung by a drunk at a karaoke, or 2 even, as Axl collaborates with Michael Monroe, who is from, I'm pretty sure he is from Hanoi Rocks, which was Axl's biggest inspiration and one of his all-time favourite bands. He worshipped, and probably still does, Michael Monroe. And now, you shouldn't expect it to get any worse from Ain't It Fun, to be honest. You know, with 2 people, with Axl sounding like he's drunk at a karaoke. But no, Buke McCain, or its subtitle, Big Dumb Sex, is worse. It manages to send shivers down your spine of just repulsion towards this song. It's the type of song that you would imagine if Van Gogh was still alive today, that would be the reason why he would cut his ears off. Or ear. And you know what? I would not blame him at all after listening to this song. And to be honest, you do deserve a medal if you survive the onslaught that is Buke McCain. So you are rewarded with a chorus, which is Now You're Messing With a Son of a Bitch from Hair of the Dog, which is sung in yet another drunken slare by Axl. But the highlight has to be the sort of, I'm sure I can hear it, a sort of robotic, weird music that I swear Slash manages to create midway through the song or something for a bit. It's really weird, the bit that Slash or Slang does in the middle. Then Attitude and Black Leather are two one-of-the-mill average punk songs, and the latter a lot more uninspiring than the first. Then we get to track 11, You Can't Put Your Arms Around a Memory, which is an acoustic song, and it is the Duff McKagan show where he does everything. He recorded it while on the Use Your Illusion tour, and it was this type of thing that he put on his solo album, I think Believe in Me or something. And, yeah, except lead guitar privilege, which is given to Richard Duguay, not Slash, just some randomer. And last but not quite least is I Don't Care About You. And this song has actual rant lyrics of a vengeful tone, which isn't very pleasant at all, to be honest. But, as I said, there is one more track to this pile of crap, which is Look at Your Game Girl, which is a soft close to this punk album, and is quite sort of controversial of why they put it on there, as the guy who wrote it was, oh god, can't remember exactly now, I haven't read much about the album for a while, but yeah, he was a very, very dodgy guy, I think a serial killer or something. Yeah, I'm pretty sure serial killer. And yeah, it's interesting why Guns N' Roses chose to cover a song like that, but that's why they put it as a hidden bonus track at the end, because they didn't want to associate themselves with that person, they just wanted to cover the song. And anyway, so, to be honest, I bought this album dirt cheap in CX, and I think about, I don't know, £2 I got it for. Actually no, it was £1 I paid for this. And you know what, it's worth every penny just for Since I Don't Have You and Human Being. But only £1, I wouldn't pay a penny more. In general, I was underwhelmed. I mean, you know, of course, Gin are my favourite bands, as I've said, but I wish they'd never made this album. Use Your Illusions were a perfect swan song to end this band on, but instead they had to end the once, well, the closest to the classic lineup you're going to get in recent years, even though this was 1993, which isn't that recent, but still. It doesn't feature Izzy or Adler, but, you know, I've always loved Sorn, but Gilby Clarke is not half as good as Izzy, to be honest. When I've had live performances, I never thought he had quite the same feel as Izzy. But, yeah, it's just, don't buy this unless you really are a hardcore Guns N' Roses fan. So I give this a 3.5 out of 10. Just really not good, to be honest. Really not good. Literally, it's just Human Being, Since I Don't Have You. Yeah, that is literally it, unfortunately, for this album. But of course, Guns N' Roses did release an album after this, which is the infamous Chinese Democracy. But first, we have a couple more things that I'm going to review before I get onto Chinese Democracy. I have, may as well show you, some really weird thing well, first, Guns N' Roses live era, 87 to 93. Yeah, so I'm going to review that. And also this weird, obscure thing I found of Transmissions, which is sort of stuff they had on TV. So yeah, that's going to come before Chinese Democracy, the penultimate, well no, not the penultimate, but the final episode that will be. So yeah, this has been the Albman. Hope you're enjoying the Guns N' Roses discography, and as usual, long live rock and roll.